Alright. What's up, everybody? We are here with the EU week number 144 grand finals between Kaizi Gaming's Reynor. Lately, I've been calling him Reynor more rather than Reynor. You guys, let me know which one you prefer, Reynor or Reynor. I think I'm the only person who calls him Reynor. Most people go Reynor, but I've been kind of alternating and flip-flopping lately. Can't decide which one I want to stick with. Maybe I'll keep doing 50-50. Down in the bottom left, we've got Mouse Esports, HeroMarine. Of course, Big Gabe, as he's known by most people in the community these days, a prolific streamer, a player who said he was retiring from pro play, and I think was it 2017, something like that, and then started getting the best results of his life right afterwards. So, you know, your classic, oh, I don't care about competing anymore, into just consistently leveling up. And there's been a few points where people said, oh, he's stagnated, he's not getting better. You know, we watched HeroMarine from when he was a young, like, 13-year-old back in the very early days, and people were like, he stopped improving, he's not going to get any better, complains too much, has the wrong attitude, bam, you know, give it 6 months, and he hits a new height. And yeah, even this year, earlier this year, he hit top 4 in the World Championship Grand Finals. He was one game off making it to the Grand Finals. So, I mean, that's crazy, dude. The fact that he almost beat Reynor there, he was up 2-0. Reynor, of course, made a sick comeback versus him. A very nice comeback in that series and won 3 games in a row. So I think Reynor has a winning record in this matchup, but there are times where HeroMarine does get the better of him. HeroMarine, of course, also took out Serral in, I think it was season 1. I think it was the Valencia season of EPT, DreamHack Valencia, where he actually eliminated Serral from that tournament with a 3 command center Hellbat timing. This is all kind of coming back to me right now. Oh, he's going to try and block the expansion, but Reynor, he's hiding behind the Expo. And nah, HeroMarine's not even going to bother. He knows that he can always just gas trick it. Nice solid opening here for Reynor so far. Does look like Reynor's going 30 hatch, though. He's been doing this a little bit more recently, going for the kind of old school opening rather than the clash opening. And you can see that third base goes down to the left. We expect Ling Speed and a third queen to come out. Usually it's third queen first, then Ling Speed, I notice. Reynor doesn't like to rush his Ling Speed too early. And that Reaper barely surviving on 2 hit points, but not able to get any kills. And Ling Speed does start up an Overlord. And wow, okay, so it's Ling Speed, Overlord, and then the third queen starts up. Interesting. He's even adding drones. Still hasn't started that third queen. Very slow on that for Reynor. Apparently prioritizing the drones and the like. He now starts that third queen up in the main. You can see he's ready to put a tumor down. Lots of space around the edge of this main base that you do want to cover. On the Terran side of the map, HeroMarine's going for a third command center, starting up his first Hellions. He's already got a nice quick starport, so it looks like just a 3 command center from the placement of the buildings. Hellion Banshee, almost certainly. There's going to be a tech lab going down in that barracks. Tech lab builds very quickly, so you can build it just before the starport's finished and it'll be ready in time. Reaper not able to find any tumor snipes or anything like that. Let's look at Reynor's vision. So Reynor's stuck an Overlord around the back. So he can sacrifice that in, see the Banshees, and hopefully see the third command center as well. There's only 1 Marine out, which will take a very long time to kill him. And you can see it's patrolling this giant edge with this 4 waypointed patrol path. That's not going to stop the Overlord whatsoever. First Banshee is on the way. Reaper's still poking on around. Let's look at the creep. It looks like this tumor maybe dropped pretty late. Still hasn't spread that around the edges of the main, but already 3 tumors on the front going out towards the middle of the base. And that tumor there is poorly placed because that's blocking a 4th hatchery from going down. After that spreads forward, he'll have to kill that with his queens. Despite that, Reynor, famous for his very effective queen split, always keeps those queens on different hotkeys. Whenever I'm training a new player in Zerg vs. Terran and getting them used to using the queen Zergling defense that pros use, I always describe it as the queen is like the it's like the old gladiator. For anyone who knows the old Roman gladiators, there was like the 2 main sets of gear they got, and one of them got like a friggin' trident and a net, or like a spear and a net. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially the queen is the trident and the Zerglings are the net against Hellions. So the Zerglings, if they run off creep, they're gonna get destroyed by Hellion Reaper. They're going to get absolutely destroyed by well-microed Hellion Reaper. So at lower levels, you might just, you know, catch them not looking, surround the Hellions, and kill them. But essentially, the Queens are always going to beat the Hellions in a front-on fight, just they're not very mobile. So the Hellions can try to dart past, and that's where your Zergling's job is to be the net that catches them. So you've got the spear of the Queens, you've got the net there that you kind of chuck over them if they try to run past, and it's that combo that can be very effective. But It's always about keeping those Zerglings in reserve, and you can see they're over there to the right side, kept in the back. Uh-oh, Queen goes down, loses a Hellion, but that's well worth it for a Queen, especially if we can get another one. Oh, uh-oh. No Overseer out here just yet. These Queen's taking a lot of damage. He's going to need to drop another Transfuse. He does so. He's got another Transfuse available. He's got to drop it. He's got to drop it. But, man, he keeps blocking his own Queen, unfortunately. He's got to pull her back. And he does lose yet another Queen. Is this too aggressive? I don't know. I mean, he's killing a lot of Queens, but now the Lings, yeah, the net comes in. That's what I'm talking about. The moment those Lings go too, those Hellions go too deep on creep, it's a problem. Nonetheless, he does lose a lot of Queens, right? 3 Queens go down. I mean, it's only 5 Zerglings. Obviously, units lost tab looks really good for Reynor. And that tells me that Reynor's going to just run away with this game. He did kill his own creep tumor. 4th hatchery starts nice and early. He's got a Spore Crawler on each base, well oversaturated. Double Evo Chamber going down on 6 minutes. Now, that's obviously slower than the double Engineering Bay, which is upgrading, but all map control has now been ceded to the Zerg. The Banshee comes in, denies a little bit of mining, but, oh, not for long, and even goes down there as well. The other Banshee comes into the main base. Looks like it did get 2 workers, but Reynor's very quick to respond. He's even putting a second Spore in the main just to make sure it can't be too annoying. Oh, there we go. Comes in, gets another one. Good micro by HeroMarine, but you got to look at the creep spread in the midst of this. Reynor, even while pulling his workers around, he keeps spreading creep. And the moment you throw your Hellions away against a Zerg, unless you do massive crippling damage, or you have an immediate attack following it up, you always feel your heart sink. Because as HeroMarine, you now know that you are battling an immense amount of creep, spreading through the middle of the map, unmitigated. And that is very, very scary. 3 depots building at once as well. That 93 supply block was rather nasty. He did do a supply drop to help him get through it. Hot tip, guys, always try to put those supply drops further back because these depots are more likely to get killed by Banelings and Zerglings as the game goes on. HeroMarine is going to go for the armory as well. He's got 2 more gases there, which tells us he wants to play a longer game. He's building siege tanks, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a 2nd factory and a 4th command center go down for him. Reynor, though, is already at 82 workers, a 12-worker advantage. He's got 3 spores in the main, which is going to make this a difficult drop angle. The far right is the only real area that he can go to. Creep is starting to move down here. 5th base on the left as well. Wow, I like that. I like expanding to both sides. Ooh, 1 Queen goes down and gets a bunch of transfuse energy out of those Queens. Drains them completely. Doesn't lose any Marines, just a bit of damage on the medevac. So HeroMarine, yeah, he's got that 4th command center. He's just going to really play for a longer game. He does need to start his 2-2 upgrades. That hasn't started up yet. 2nd factory goes down, which I think might be immediately onto a tech lab. However, one of the most underrated things is to go for Widow Mines or Hellbats in this scenario. I think Widow Mines are more important. Hellbats become really good versus Mass Zergling once you've got lots of Ghosts up later on. But, uh-oh. Whoa, he's going to take the trade. The all 4 medevacs on the right side taking a trade there with a bit of a spready versus the Ling Bane. And he's going to have to pick up now. Does lose a few of those Marines, but overall it looks like good trading for HeroMarine. Remember, he was behind in the units lost earlier in the game. He's now about even. Still not great usually in this matchup, especially since he, of course, doesn't have that much infrastructure. There's always a point where I feel like the Terran crawls to their full macro setup, where you're like, okay, the 2nd factory, the 4th command center here, and then you look across the map and the Zerg's like, I have 90 drones! And you're like, oh no, it's a little bit scarier. But HeroMarine has positioning. He's created a dent in the creep here. This is an area, an avenue where he can maybe force some good fights. He's got to be careful. I don't think he can force in too hard. The Ling Bane comes forward for Reynor. Very, very brave for Reynor to go in there. Those Banelings on the left. Oh, that's a disaster. Okay, that's it. HeroMarine's wiped off the map there. Reynor's on 90 drones. Reynor's got a hive on the way. Reynor's got a 5th base. The creep on the left side is everywhere. He's got every path covered except this little right dent, but he's cleared the entire army. HeroMarine right now, he's got double tank production. He's got lots of Marines. He's building 3 more barracks. And I really feel like if he was Maru, he'd be fine in this circumstance because Maru is so good at just turtling versus Reynor and not doing anything. But HeroMarine is not confident playing that game. He's building double lib, double tank. This is all a very aggressive army comp. He's continuing to push, but it feels like he's stepping into almost Reynor's trap. He's giving him opportunities to fight. I do like that he spots the flank very early, but with creep literally encircling your army, this is a situation where HeroMarine, he realizes he's got to get the shit out of here. This is such a scary position to be. Oh, Reynor's going to come in from both sides. I mean, it's only 1 siege tank exposed, but he loses a bunch of Marines as well on the ground. He tries to pick up and save most of them. Back at home, more Marines and tanks are building up. He's adding some Marauders into the mix as well. We've got Groove Spines now starting up for Reynor. Reynor's been famously forgetting Hydralisk upgrades in the last month or 2 of his ZvT. He's often running around with unupgraded Hydras, which is definitely not the greatest, but now he's at Hive. He's got Spines, Spores on the top. He's got Vipers going down. Here we go, Massling Bane Hydra attack. Uh-oh, HeroMarine just moved out with a lot of his units, and those SCVs have got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. That mineral line in the top, 9 SCVs go down, make it 12. One Zergling in the mineral line is going to one-tap all the remaining SCVs, and that is 18 SCVs going down that HeroMarine could not afford in this game. He's looking dead in the water. This feels like the sort of game where, you know, that first Hellion Banshee move was really nice, but he overcommitted just a little bit to it. And from there, we've seen a HeroMarine that is a little bit behind, and he's trying to do a lot of normal things, and Reynor's just got so much more stuff than him. It feels like HeroMarine's halfway through setting up his army, and Reynor's already collapsing on top of him. It's a slippery slope. When you're up against a swarmy Zerg style, things get bad very quickly. Now, double Liberator Sieges in the top. Looks like he gets a bunch of drones and a queen, so not too bad. Good micro for him distracting. But look at this creep! Oh my god! I mean, he has a 30 army supply advantage. We shouldn't count him out. You know, we've seen Terrans do it with this sort of army, but he's only got 4 Marauders, and his bio is just a bit too clumped. He needs to keep it spread out. Lib Siege is in the back there. It does take out a queen, but it looks like the Libs have fallen down now. Oh my god, Raid is going for it! HeroMarine with some giant spreadies, though. Oh my god, no. There is no way HeroMarine wins this game, right? But guys, he's got no 3-3, no 5th command center. HeroMarine is just being brave enough. He's saying, the attack failed, the attack failed, the attack failed. YOLO! And you know what? Reynor needs to give this base up. I don't think he can fight right now. He doesn't have any Zerglings in here. He's got good Blinding Clouds. Does he have enough Zerglings, though? No, he's on Mass Hydra. 14 Hydras with no attack upgrades. I don't think I can get behind that army for Reynor, but oh, the Ling... There we go. The Ling Flood with 2-2 does come in from behind it. The Blinding Clouds did enough that he can clear most of this. And oh my god, he's actually going to clear the whole thing without even having to pull back to make Banelings. And if you clear the tanks, then you absolutely shut the whole push down. That was surprisingly close, considering how this game went, but you've got to realize Reynor had 100 drones. He had Vipers. He also has, of course, he had some Queens. But because most of his Queens died, he was able to replace that with more army. He was up 30 workers, which, of course, was 30 less army supply. But he had the creep spread. He had the Banelings, which are very supply efficient. The Vipers did end up landing nice Blinding Clouds. And HeroMarine's not done yet. He's still close to even army supply, but you got to remember, a lot of that's back at his production just popping out right now. Terran is meant to be ahead in army supply a lot of the time versus Zerg, because the Zerg army reinforces instantly, and the Terran creeps across that map. That was a dominating game 1. But let's remember, it all came back to the early Hellion cleanup. He almost killed all the Queens, wasn't quite able to do it. The net of Zerglings surrounded him. Hey, Reynor crushes game 1. All right, guys, let's go. Rough game 1 for HeroMarine, but that was a big map. Probably Reynor's pit. He's going to be going into a map which is a bit smaller and has some very good tank positions. Reynor, though, not someone to be easily knocked out. I do think, actually, Data C, so the previous map, actually, Beyond has an insane win rate on it. So I'm kind of wondering, I'm like, yeah, Reynor probably picked it versus HeroMarine, but I have seen Beyond fail his attack like 3 times while doing a big 2-base Marine tank push, and then win with the 3rd or 4th attack so many times just using the tank positioning. But HeroMarine never really got one of those positions. It was interesting because he was actually pushing on the wrong side to get the really disgustingly good tank position. Maybe that was his like mind game. He was like, everyone always tries to get the tank spot behind the minerals in that last map, on the where Reynor took his 3rd base, but I'm not going to do that because Reynor's taken that as his 3rd. He's got too much creep in front of it. We're going to target the 4th. But yeah, he was just getting swarmed over. And Terran is a glass cannon race. There's a reason why Terran is the whiniest race. You know, it's because it is the most frustrating to lose with. And this is, I'm not even joking at this point. People... Obviously, it's a bit of a meme. There's plenty of Protoss Zerg. Everyone complains in StarCraft. It's a hard game, right? But people complain the most in video games in general, and in StarCraft in general, when it feels unfair, or when things happen really suddenly to change what they thought the circumstances were. And because Terran has extreme damage output, but also very low hit points, and they're all long-ranged units, basically, when they win a fight, they tend to gun down the enemy really hard and kill them all before they do too much. And when they lose a fight, they tend to get destroyed without really doing anything at all. You're like, you know, so it's very drastically different results based on just small minutiae of how the engagements go. Now, obviously that is a gross oversimplification, but it is a great description of it. And this is the same thing I experience when I'm playing Terran, where you have fights like HeroMarine did in that last game, where it's like, oh, he actually has an extra 20 Zerglings and an extra 10 Banelings than I'm used to him having. when my first push arrives. And his creep is out an extra half a screen further. So normally I'd be able to siege my tanks here off creep, but the creep's all the way out here. So my army's already like deep on creep by the time I get to the tank position that I normally can use. You know, you can see how like things start to spiral very quickly, and then you're mid siege up and banelings are already on top of your marines, and Reynor has so much vision that he's flanking your army, and it's like, oh, nothing does what it needs to do because you're losing your siege tanks 1 or 2 at a time without them really getting into that big setup fight. You're not able to get that setup going. Oh, almost gets a drone. HeroMarine. Nice micro with the Reaper. Oh, he's going back in for it as well. I like it. Oh, HeroMarine showing some true... That was like a North American low GM player. Now, for those who don't know, the North American low GM is one of the most famous creatures out there, the North American low GM Terran. They will micro that Reaper till they have 600 minerals in the bank. They will kill a drone, even versus a top pro Zerg, and the Zerg's like, what the hell? Is this guy like Maru? They don't realize that, you know, the guy hasn't started his orbital at home, didn't build his reactor, is messing the rest of his build. By God, that Reaper will dance into some dangerous positions, and it will also get itself killed. I remember I missed when Pult... Oh, nice snipe, very good catch. Pult came back to StarCraft for a while, and every game he'd get really aggro with the Reaper, but then he'd leave it sitting out off creep, and he'd never be watching. And like, every game you could run your slow Zerglings forward, surround it, and kill it without him reacting in time. So he'd go from this like mega tryhard to like just super focused on his macro, and I was like, wow, Pult. I was like, you truly did become Captain America. Like, you know, you went to the military, you spent too many years being Captain America. It was always the joke that the Korean guy was Captain America. And I was like, you literally picked up the American habits of like just tunnel visioning really hard. All right, so this is a quick cloaked Banshee build. So this is very safe versus roach pressure. So HeroMarine's going to be safe versus roach pressure. He'll also be able to pile on a bit more aggression than normal with this build. But so far, Reynor's played very safe. He's got drones rallying out to his third. A benchmark I often tell players, if you can get this third base fully saturated by 4 minutes 30 versus no aggression, like no Hellions or anything, then you're doing really good. If they're poking with Hellions and Reapers being really active like HeroMarine is, if you can get at least 8 workers on this base by 4 minutes 30, then you've done pretty well. If you can get a bit higher than that, it's great. And you can see in this case, this is heavy aggression, guys. Like the Banshees are coming out as well. He's got one there. He's saving up for the other one as well. And already 7 workers on that base. Second gas is on the way. He's actually oversaturating his natural is Reynor here, rather than rallying straight out to that third base. He runs a Zergling in, and he sees no third command center. Okay, so I'll tell you what this means. Reynor right now, he's like, why is there no third CC yet? Like, what's going on? So he's got to suspect that this could be a 2-base all-in, but he doesn't know what it is. Now, the Banshee is arriving, and once again, the Banshee attacking the front, but Cloak isn't quite ready. Okay, he's going to try and isolate these queens. So this is this same dive that he did last game. He's going for it again. And he says, hey, you don't have detection. If I can just force your queens out here into the open, they can get a volley off here or there, do some decent damage, and my Banshee's going to get so much damage, man. Look at that. He's trying to build a Spore Crawler out there. I think this is the right way to do it, though. You're forcing an extra Spore. You're forcing his queens back. You've drained a lot of Transfuse, picking off just the odd drone here or there. I mean, I'm saying the odd drone, but it's Reynor, so he's already done 2 Spore Crawler tricks to save workers and not lose any. Nonetheless, it's a good cautious approach. He's also keeping the Hellions alive, which keeps the creep back, and that is absolutely vital. Because remember, he's doing a 2-base tank push behind this, guys. He's got 5 barracks coming up, 4 reactors, 1 tech lab. He's got a factory building as well. He's going to be pumping out +1 marine tank medevac, and he needs to keep the creep back so he can get a good tank position. Usually, you can get tanks here, and then start pushing through this middle area. If Reynor realized this was coming, he really should be prioritizing breaking the rocks in the middle. A couple of Marines come forward. Oh, I like the way HeroMarine does this. Just 3 Marines. He's hiding his numbers behind this, so he doesn't give away what he's up to. But unfortunately, that was a Banshee going down there, and that is a bit of a problem for him. Now, obviously, the 4th base is the most exposed. You can imagine that HeroMarine could target the 4th in the bottom right. The reason why he's not going to do that is because that's not important infrastructure. Reynor can just cancel that and rebuild a base on the left. Like, he wouldn't care at all, and you can't waste time. When you push with the Marine tank, and he's probably going to push with the 2nd tank coming out, you have a lot of urgency on getting that damage done hard and fast. And Reynor is famous for being greedy against this. He's seen everything he needs to see to know that this should be a 2-base all-in, but because he lost that Overlord and HeroMarine kind of hid what he was doing, he might buy the story. He's building more drones, which shows us that Reynor has no idea what's happening right now. Reynor, he got knocked out of GSL one-sidedly versus Bunny doing this. He's got to be doing nothing but making Ling Bane, and he should be backstabbing right now with most of his Zerglings while making Banelings at home, but he's only got 40... Oh, he's got 40 Zerglings. Okay, he's making 9 Banelings. He needs more than that, to be honest. He's got great creep spread, though. Oh, man, HeroMarine's got to feel his heart sink seeing how far forward that creep is. The Banshee does survive on the left. The Ling Bane is morphing, but this position is going to be brutal. Great scan for HeroMarine. Here we go. Ling's coming in for a flank. HeroMarine, he finds the flank, though. And there's no Banelings on that flank. A pure Zergling flank is not as good as having a mixture. Oh, HeroMarine, what are you doing? Oh, no. Wait, is it... But that was all the Banelings. That was all the Banelings. HeroMarine takes a horrendous hit, but if he has the numbers, he might still be able to win the game with the ball of Marines. He's still got a siege tank there as well. It will go down to the Zerglings. A crazy move for HeroMarine. Absolute insanity. It was legitimately what looked like him almost being borderline sleepy. But the fact that Reynor didn't have any Banelings in reserve, making the crucial mistake. The Lings, though, are ravaging the rally point. That might actually do it. Reynor, though, running drones over to that 4th base in the side. HeroMarine is still just kind of F2ing his army in. He's going after these workers. If he can get them all, then he will have a better economy than Reynor, and that is a big problem. Reynor's on 5 bases, but oh no! What an absolute shit show of a game! Oh my god, this map is ridiculous. Reynor and HeroMarine. I mean, Reynor got what seemed like a really good fight, but he just forgot to keep Banelings in reserve. HeroMarine shoved in so aggressively, I think almost surprisingly so. Reynor's used to him being a bit more cautious. Pick up, got to get out. Good pick up there for Mr. HeroMarine. Now he's going to rejoin and keep the push going, and now with only 50 drones, it's very tough for Reynor to keep up with the pace of this push. The Ling run-bys are very effective. I do like that creep clearance. This is not a good fight for Reynor, though. Oh, Reynor, he really needs to cut off the reinforce. The biggest thing I've been critical of in the last 6 months of this push getting really popular is the fact that people just let the Terran rally out. This is so lazy from HeroMarine, yet every Terran does it, and they do it because the Zergs consistently let them get away with it. Reynor comes in now to cut off the rally, but most of the units have already got across the map. The Banelings trying to hold on. That left base has been sectioned off here. The Marines coming forward. There's only one tank. The Banelings on creep. Oh, the Lings from behind, but a good hot pickup. Is it enough, though? Oh, a real weird, messy fight. The Medevac standing up front there, but I think there's still plenty of Marines left. There's no Banelings in reserve again. I mean, Reynor's so broke. He doesn't really have the money. So I get it. That time we can't really fault him for it. He's broke as a poor person. I don't have a broke analogy. So he's broke as a... He's dead. He's dead. Oh my god, what is going on in this series, guys? Look at this. Not only was Reynor a bit greedy, but that shove forward onto creep from HeroMarine was legitimately one of the best worst things I've ever seen. So the Ling flank scares him, he pulls back, and Reynor's like, okay, cool, let's go. And like the Ling flank's pretty good, right? Because he's cleaning up the tanks. And then, sorry, we missed the we missed the big Baneling connection. But you can see these guys aren't pre-split at all. And look at this. Those first Baneling hits are so good. But there's no other Lings coming in with it. So those ones all get shot down, and the Ling flank comes in way too late. He just doesn't have any Banelings. You can imagine if he had... he has like two more Banelings there, but they just get shot down. If he had more Lings and Banes here, maybe. But yet another game where Reynor doesn't verify what the Terran's doing behind all this. He saw signs of a 2-base all-in. Remember, he never saw a 3rd CC. He saw the wall-off earlier, not there. But he still went to 70+ workers. I think the 5 hatcheries is a good idea. A lot of people would say, why would you go 5 bases? You got to remember that hatcheries are production for a Zerg player. But if he realized what was up, he'd probably be just on about 5 gas geysers or 4. Probably wouldn't be. You'll notice he's not mining off this one or this one. So he pulled off mining some of these gases, realizing, oh god, all I need is minerals for the most part. But he does get overrun. A nice win for HeroMarine. But honestly, this series is a hot mess for both players right now. They have got to clean their act up. All right, guys, going into game 3. Caught with his pants down. Got a great Baneling detonation. But you know what? Maybe he should have pulled back because he didn't have any Banelings in reserve. HeroMarine in that last game, I think I maybe was a bit overly critical because the thing is, yes, he obviously wasn't setting his fights up quite right. HeroMarine will need to clean up, I think, his micro a little bit. I do feel that he got value out of it, I guess is what I want to say. He shoved in, took terrible Baneling hits, but he also forced Reynor to engage before Reynor was ready. And the follow-up to that engage, like Reynor just wasn't ready for it, and he crumbled because of it. No more Banelings, no more Lings in reserve. The Ling flank wasn't there to help the Queens. And yeah, essentially he just got overwhelmed. So even though HeroMarine took a bad trade, like Beyond does this all the time where you're like, oh god, He just took a terrible fight with his Marines, and then he wins the game. And you're like, wait. Oh, no! Oh, HeroMarine is just having an off day, man. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. HeroMarine, I don't know if he's got the flu or what, but I think there's a Reynor effect where he feels he needs to get more done than versus a normal opponent because it's Reynor, and Reynor is such a scary player to play against in this matchup. You can't just let him do his thing. You've got to get under his skin and fuck with him. If you don't, Reynor runs away with the game. He gets way too far ahead too quickly. But obviously, HeroMarine is floundering right now, running a Reaper and just getting it surrounded behind the minerals. A big mistake for him. Very costly. And the thing is cool. I mean, this map's pretty good for Terran because you can push on this forward path. I think it's way better for Reynor, just because stylistically, I favor Reynor in playing this sort of game versus HeroMarine. Unless HeroMarine opens up like Widowmine drops or surprise 2-starport BC, unless he does something super, you know, out of the norm for him. Come on, he's got to land that command center. Oh, he drops the mule, then lands it. Interesting. And it does land just in time for the mule to return. Okay, that's something I was wondering. Does he have to micro the mule back there? Obviously, these guys do a long-distance trip. Even though it's so easy to defend, this does slow your opening down a bit, right? Having to lift the command center and move it and all this stuff. So there is a downside to all of this stuff that he's doing. He's going a Viking and then a medevac. Oh. How many Marines we got? 2, 3. Is he going to get a 4th? All right, armory should be going down right now. Where's that armory, guys? Oh, okay, gets a drone. Not bad. Only doesn't take many hits, only a single hit. The Viking's hunting down an Overlord as well. Now, you see a Viking. It could be a sign of HeroMarine just playing the most economic, greedy game. It also could be a sign of him all-inning. Reynor is going to pull back that Overlord. No armory. Okay, so this is interesting, guys. So I thought going 4 Marines, he was going to get 4 Marines in the medevac and use those with Hellbats on the front. But he's going to instead do 4 Marines. Does HeroMarine think he's getting attacked because he saw no drones on the 3rd? Okay, he's got 8 Hellions. 7 Hellions. 4 Marine drop moves by the top. The Zerglings see this, though. There's no way to hide that on this map. So Reynor's ready for the Marine drop. The Marine drop's not really the real problem, though. The real problem is the Hellions. And Reynor's Overlords have pulled back, so he doesn't see it very far out. HeroMarine's just got to pull these guys out. Hellions dive in. The Queens are well positioned. I mean, he could have dove in and got some damage, but it would have been hard to get out because this is such a narrow choke. Those 3 Queens can essentially block the whole thing off, and then the Lings that are the net can absolutely stomp. So, oh, he's doing 2-base push again. Okay, this is it, guys. HeroMarine. I got to tell you guys the story. I got to summarize what's happening because this is the sort of StarCraft series that is going to be over in the blink of an eye. We're already at 1-1 after 2 very quick games. This is not your big back and forth macro game. That does not mean the players aren't playing well. Don't get me wrong. HeroMarine is not executing his micro as well as he normally does. On the other hand, he knows what Reynor's weakness is, and that is just committing to 2-base all-ins. I think this is one of the worst maps for it. I don't think there's great tank positions compared to the other maps, but who knows? Maybe he'll show me that I don't know what I'm talking about. You can push with tanks here, but you're not really in range of anything, right? You can try to ferry tanks up here and put them on those ledges, and that is a brutal tank position. If you get tanks there, very hard for Lingbane Muted to deal with, but also not the most common thing to push into. Now, oh, look at that. I love that tank position. Now, obviously, if Lings run in, they get a free tank kill. But HeroMarine's like, look, the chances are he's going to think I have a 3rd base there now because of that. Oh, and remember that Reynor looked embarrassingly bad in his GSL performance. And I don't mean that as an insult to Reynor. It's because he expects more of himself. I expect more of him as well. There's a lot of people who said, oh, look, he just isn't as good as the Koreans. And I was like, look, he didn't look like himself that day. He didn't perform that well. You can argue he's not as good in the GSL format. Whatever the excuse is, the point is he got dicked by 2-base Terran pushes, and he's been dicked by them since as well. Reynor, he has weaknesses against this style because he just doesn't scout. Look at this. He just does not scout. He's so lazy. His layer's up. He hasn't made an overseer. He's just relying on creep and mechanics, but he's building drones. He's going up to 74 workers. Reynor just plays too greedy. I've always talked about how Serral's a much safer player than Reynor. Reynor right now getting distracted by a single Marine drop, a landed Viking controlling the watchtower. The army is massing up at home, and Reynor is building 5 more workers. He's going to 80 plus drones. Now, the crazy thing here is, because HeroMarine's taking so long to push, and he keeps getting supply blocked, HeroMarine is executing this in such a dodgy manner. It's clearly a build order he's not comfortable with. I'll put that out there, guys. I don't think he's comfortable with this build order. He's constantly supply blocked. He's messed up his build at multiple times. It might work, though, simply because he's hidden what he's doing very well. And strategically, Reynor is so vulnerable to this move. And look at this tank position that I was talking about. He's going to use the tank position. That tank is sticking out a little bit. A bit of a dodgy siege up there. But there we go. He's going to shove on forwards now. That tank siege is a bit further forward because he's got to get inside the base. He leaves some Marines behind it all. And some Marines do poke on forward. There we go. He's going to try and bait him in. But Reynor being very cautious so far. Baneling speed about to kick in. The siege tanks are going to move forward. Oh, what's he doing? He's going to leave. Oh, he's going to go back to the front. Okay, he's going to siege on the bridge. You know what? That's really hard to fight, actually, the bridge. But wait. Okay, so he's going to siege in front of the bridge. Interesting. That's a lot of Ling Bane, though. Not sieging up yet. Oh, my God. HeroMarine, taking a long time to siege up. The Banelings are going to roll in, but where's the Zerglings? Where are the Zerglings? The Zerglings are too far behind. Reynor, what was that? What was that engagement? My voice is breaking. His Lings were up in the main base still. You can't go into the Banelings. Forced all the Marines back. You're meant to use that opening for the Lings to kill the tanks. That was a terrible fight for Reynor. And oh my God, he still might clean it up though, just because he has the numbers. What a disaster of a series. This is, Reynor takes another quick win in 8 minutes and 40 seconds. This is just not a good map for the 2-base all-in, I think. But what an absolutely ridiculous series this is. The thing is, even though this is not a good map for it, if HeroMarine hit this build correctly, he 100% should have been able to win the game. But you can tell that he didn't really think it through, I think, as well as he should have. In that, yes, there's a great tank position there, but look at how far the tank reaches. It reaches to like there. And then they don't have to fight you, right? Because really what you want to do is you want to drive a tank position through the middle of their bases. So like if you can hold a position here and then you can branch into this base, like you could just deny everything, right? And all the tech. But this is a disaster of a series for HeroMarine. So, and it's because look at this, guys, at 7:30. He's sitting with 29 Marines and 3 siege tanks. That's not a big army for 7.5 minutes in the game. I know he's done a little bit of aggression and stuff, but it's really not that big. And let's go back a little bit, and I just want to show you guys how many supply blocks there were. So look at this. I don't know if there was one before this, but he gets supply blocked here on 70 supply and is unable to produce Marines. So this is HeroMarine, I think, was making up a build on the fly that he's never practiced, and he fell victim to basically what I call Terranitis. And that is because Terran, it's a bit harder to hit all of your basics with Terran than the other races in terms of like, okay, keeping up, you know, production while harassing in 2 areas and doing a build that you've just made up. And you can see he's supply blocked here for about maybe 8-9 seconds. So he misses some Marine production at 5:30. And then he's pretty good with his depots for a little bit. But then as he's getting his push ready, 110 supply is a giant supply block. A giant supply block here. And it's only like, yeah, he loses a Marine and he could build another Marine. And that's a huge supply block. I mean, that is, when you're doing a 2-base all-in, you really can't afford any supply blocks. Look at when this supply block starts. So he hits 110 supply. And his first barracks aren't able to produce here from about 6:45. He doesn't start a depot until 7 minutes and 3 seconds. And that's going to take another 20 seconds. That's like a 45-second supply block. For a pro player of HeroMarine's caliber, that is 100% inexcusable and something he's no doubt super mad at himself for. So really cute creative build from HeroMarine, but bad supply blocks and also, you know, Reynor able to take him. Now, obviously, Reynor jumped on that army and didn't take the best fight. I do think HeroMarine took way too long to re-siege his army, though, as well. So as you guys can tell, this is a series where I know it's not over yet, but I want to be analyzing this. I'm not casting this necessarily because this was the most macro series. It's because I heard the games were just absolute crazy shit shows, and this series went from 0 to 100 from the very beginning. And I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of games as well, because I mean, this was so late for HeroMarine to siege. I don't know why he would be sieging his tanks out in the open like this rather than up against the edge of the terrain, and why he took so long to siege. And then you see this fight from Reynor, and for some reason all of his Zerglings are still up there in the main. So this army that comes in is almost pure Baneling. Gets a good Baneling hit there, but then the Banelings are mostly just rolling on by and like clipping a few tanks and Marines. Reynor's just so rich at 82 workers that he's able to take pretty average fights and still have enough to just swarm over the top. He's also got a single upgrade advantage as well, but definitely not the thing we were looking for there. Yeah. And who knows, maybe after that terrible fight, imagine if there was another 20 Marines rallying in here, right? Imagine if HeroMarine hadn't been as supply blocked and did have another, I don't know, 15 Marines, something like that, rallying into the fight already, or another siege tank or another Liberator or something. Who knows? There's not that much Ling Bane left here, right? At this point, there's 22 Zerglings, 13 Banes, 11 Queens. And if there was another 10, 15 Marines coming in the backside of this and defending those tanks and they're like barely surviving the fight, yeah. If he survives here with 2 tanks and 15 Marines or something like that, it's a very different game. But you can see the rally is just so weak. You know, why is there such room between the rally? GG's. Raider takes a 2-1 advantage in what is so far an absolute hot mess. Let's see who gets on their feet first. All right, well, this series is just a hot mess at this point. HeroMarine, I think, is doing very clever builds, but he's executing poorly. If he can clean up his execution, I really think he can win this series. His opponent in the top right, fantastic macro, but really poor scouting. And I do think that first fight left something to be desired. If Reynor could just scout and stop being so greedy, I do think he'd be in a much better spot here. But he's been so greedy lately. He also went 14 Overlord this game. I believe that was a 14 Overlord, which is a little weird. So his Overlord a bit later than normal. Definitely got to see these guys making sure they really clean their active. And of course, you got to remember they're both coming into this after playing the finals of EU at DreamHack Atlanta Europe. So they're both coming off, you know, big tournament runs in that. And HeroMarine's just going to go for a 3 racks all in. And the Overlord is actually on a really... Surely... Guys, this is a noob Overlord path. You don't want to just sit there. Okay, he does move it out front, but just leaving the Overlord there is really conservative. Normally, you'd go out to the side and check over here, or you'd check down here for proxy barracks. He's just leaving it there. Now, the advantage is he'll see the SCV coming in immediately, be able to pull drones. The downside is that is the only warning Reynor's going to have to react to this. And yeah, HeroMarine, this is pretty all in. When you go 3 barracks, like when you do 2 barracks, you'll notice the Terran already takes an 18 supply gas, goes for a factory behind it. It's more of a heavy pressure where if they kill the hatchery, like they're getting way more than they ever expected to get. But with a 3 racks Marine build, the Terran can kill the hatchery and still maybe even be behind after that if the Zergs, say, rushed up to Ravages or something. It's really committed. The first fight's going to decide a lot. Let's watch this from Reynor's camera. Guys, he's moving his Overlord forward right now. He's looking at this Overlord. He sees a unit on the minimap. He realizes the Overlord turns to the right side, trying to escape from there. He does pull drones immediately. He must have already had those drones control group before the fight started. Let's go back to everyone's camera. Marines trying to pull back along with the SCVs. Remember, they are both playing on Europe. And right now, the drones, they can't let that bunker get up. No spine crawler building, guys. Just Zerglings and Queens. A spine crawler helps so much against these Marines and SCVs. But Reynor wants to do the budget hold. He wants to do it with just Zerglings, drones, and a Queen. But that bunker's going to finish. He can't let that bunker finish. He has to go. He can't keep wasting time like this. Reynor not going for the break on this. What? Oh my god, the bunker even kills a drone that's trying to mine there. I don't know what Reynor's doing right now. If you don't have a spine crawler coming up, surely this is not the way. The Queen pops out. She's already taken so much damage. The Drilly boy's putting the hurt on her. Going to try and engage the bunker. Is Reynor. Goes for the big surround, but the Marine micro is so good. Those Marines are still killing everything. They're damaged, but they're not going down. The SCVs are repairing each other. The bunker's up, and Reynor lets the bunker get up and does get smashed. HeroMarine ties up the series. He says, look, I'm not going to let Reynor play his game. Reynor is greedy. Reynor is so greedy. I just need to keep on punishing him for that greed. All right, guys, let's go into game number 5. And you know what? I have a correction. I've just realized this is actually not the weekly finals after Atlanta. The reason they're playing so weird is this is before Atlanta. Before the Atlanta EU regional finals. So because of that, both players are playing, like, Reynor's playing just very defensive macro, not really giving away any tricky builds, and HeroMarine is just throwing out wild all-ins because he doesn't want to, you know, showcase necessarily his best build. So HeroMarine is purposefully doing wonky builds so he doesn't give away what he's going to be doing in the main event of that. And you know what? It's actually really cool because I think this is when players get their most creative, is when they're like, oh, I'm not going to play my best build in terms of execution, but I'm going to play my best in terms of just surprising you with some crazy moves. And the thing is, I actually think if HeroMarine executed a bit better, like, damn, he could have definitely won these games. Let's see what he goes for, though, in Game 5. Tropical Sacrifice. Pool first. Wow, Reynor. His first sign of taking some safety steps. Now, this is the thing about Reynor, guys, because he's a bit of a gambler in the way he plays, like, it's hard to scare him into taking any safety. I feel like with Serral, you can literally look at him and go, oogie, oogie, boogie. And Serral's like, okay, we're going Overlord speed every game in this series. Like, he's so safe. If you show the slightest inclination of being a bit of a gambler or a cheesy dickhead versus Serral will be like, Overlord speed. You do that versus Reynor, like, you cheese him out in game 1, and he's like, well, you wouldn't do it a second game, and he'll play just as greedy against it. And then you do it again, and he's like, wow, you got me twice. Well, you wouldn't do it a third time, and he still won't take safety precautions. It's the confidence to play that sort of poker game, which does make Reynor frustrating to play against. Because you're like, seriously? Come on, dude. Just play a bit safe. And he's like, nah, I'm good. But this time around, he is playing a mixture of both safe and aggressive. It's a reactor first build, which usually, I think, fares okay here, because you get 2 Marines out as the Zerglings arrive. As long as you don't get them surrounded. Marines build in just 18 seconds. So 2 Marines, obviously he'll have to pull about 4 Zerglings. If he pulls 5 or 6, it's more than he needs to. We'll see how quickly HeroMarine responds with hopping this SCV off. He might be doing a 3-Rex as well. He's building a second barracks there. Zerglings coming in. 1 goes after the SCV. Oh! HeroMarine! Oh, he started stepping pretty hard. Oh, not the best micro by HeroMarine. Really bad micro, in fact, by HeroMarine, I gotta say. The SCV on the natural is somehow still building. So that was a bit sloppy, guys. He was trying to focus fire so hard rather than just pulling those Marines together and getting them towards the SCV line. Of course, he doesn't want to lose too much mining. It is what it is. And those Zerglings going to try and reunite on the natural. But overall, I mean, he only loses an SCV and a Marine. It's not too bad. This was 8 Zerglings, right? Or was it just the 6, actually? It was just the 6. Overlord in the open. Ooh, bit of a mistake there for Reynor, though. That's a big one. If he loses the Overlord, that is a very big problem. The other Marines aren't coming forward, though, and that Zergling says, hey, distraction, gives him the middle finger over the shoulder, calls his mum fat, says, I banged your sister, ha ha ha. And apparently these Marines are about as uneducated as the Brood War campaign has made us think. They follow him, let the Overlord get away to safety, and bit of a mistake there for HeroMarine, letting that one slip by. Third base is on the way. Okay, this is interesting, this setup now, because Reynor's not building extra queens just yet. Obviously, he's focusing really hard on getting the drone count up. He did see the second barracks. Did he see the factory? He must have, right? No, he didn't see the factory. So it's just a 2-1-1 for HeroMarine. Now, 2-1-1, of course, 2 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, gets you that double medevac Marine timing with stim. I think for HeroMarine, the scariest thing is how blind you are at this point. You're not sure if, you know, mass Ling Bane Flood's going to come in, Ravager Ling, is he just macroing up? You don't really know what's happening. And I would expect as the medevacs are about halfway done, HeroMarine should move his Marines out to this pillar, boost the medevacs over, spot the Overlord, kill it, pick up, and then move across the map. And looking at the way HeroMarine's played this series, I would imagine he's going to follow that up with a 2-base all-in attack. He's actually moving out already, so he's going to do the pre-Marine pressure, which can be very dangerous, but he already forced a few more Zerglings out of Reynor. Reynor's going to go for the single Evo, wants to get a quick Carapace upgrade. Severely diminishes the damage of the Marines versus your Queens and Zerglings. Splits 2 Marines off the right side. Now that's really interesting. Is that to deny scouting? Like I said, I was halfway through and I cut myself off, guys. HeroMarine is going to all in on 2-base. Like, that's what he's going to do. He's going the engineering bay. We expect 3 more barracks to go down in the main at some point in the near future. The reactor should swap off. The starport should swap off, build a reactor. 1 barracks will go down there, and the other 2 will just build their own reactors. Meanwhile, Lair and Baneling Nest is on the way. Now, why do we know that HeroMarine's going to do that? It's because how he's played the rest of this series. Now, if Reynor doesn't expect that, I think that's really silly of him, right? I think he should absolutely expect it. And so far, he's playing mega safe, but maybe potentially too safe. He's only on 45 drones. versus 38 SCVs. He's already massing Lingbane with Carapace. He's going to need to go back to droning in the near future. Nothing wrong with overbuilding Zerglings a little bit, but HeroMarine's already getting some good value out of this. He does stim forward. Happy to fight on that ramp versus these units. And one Marine goes down. Good pullback for HeroMarine there. He's going to pick up and boost towards the main. Overlord does not see that rotation. And he's only going to spot it as it comes into the main. But Reynor has good instincts. And he knows that that was always a threat. So grabs a Marine there. Not bad at all. Rotating back to the low ground is HeroMarine, keeping himself active. You can see he hasn't lifted the starport off, and I do think that's a bit of a mistake. He built those 2 extra medevacs. That's slowing down his extra barracks, pumping out Marines. But it will give him an earlier 4 medevac timing. Does lose another Marine or 2. Gets a bit of creep, draining the transfuse energy. You know, he's keeping him back. And I think the goal for HeroMarine is to push this angle and get tank sieged up here. If he can get tank sieged up here, he's basically able to elevate into the main, into the natural, and he doesn't have to deal with all this creep in the north. He can just ignore it. And that's why the Marines are so focused on this angle. He's also got a tank plus Marine drop coming down to join up with this. He might start with just a siege tank here and just use this to leverage this open. 3 more barracks are on the way behind this. He did swap the starport off, and he's just going to be building medevacs one at a time because he's already got 4 medevacs out. I think that's absolutely fine. That tank position we were talking about, where's the Banelings? They're coming, but Baneling speed isn't ready yet. Oh! Oh my god! Oh my god, that Baneling nest is so exposed. Oh, if HeroMarine just focuses the Banes, I think he can actually be on this. But no, HeroMarine not going to be brave enough to be on it. Still gets a good trade. He's going to go drop in the main base, and he's going to try and fight. As these Lings have to run up the ramp, that's a shooting gallery. Yeah, great position for HeroMarine, especially if he moves up forwards on the right side of that. He would have got even more. He goes for the mineral line. Doesn't really get too much there. Just going to kill. Oh, he gets a Baneling. Doesn't focus the Queen, unfortunately. Still decent trades for him. He's lost 17 units for 62. Of course, the Zerg units are a lot cheaper than his. 57 workers for Reynor. He's got Bane speed, +1 Carapace, and now +1 melee has started up for him. Meanwhile, +1 attack upgrade is almost finished, and HeroMarine is starting to rally across the map. He's got those extra barracks. 2 of them do not have reactors. These Zerglings running into the Marine tank. That's really good for HeroMarine. He does accidentally... Oh no, he brings these medevacs back on purpose, in fact. This creep Shlong does start to get snipped off here. HeroMarine realizing he can't just let Reynor have that map control. Uh-oh, here comes an ambush! Roar! HeroMarine saves some of the units, but not all of them. Meanwhile, Banelings hit him on that side as well. He's trying to micro in 2 places at once. Reynor keeping it busy. Oh my god, this is such a close game. Honestly, the next minute is going to decide this. It's all based on who micros these fights better. HeroMarine needs to preserve these units. Oh! Reynor with a sneaky flank! But those queens are off creep, which is very dangerous. He's building 2 more queens. He's going to go 14 queens. Queens are not going to scale well as the fights get bigger. This is the scenario where Beyond actually stops attacking. He plays really patient and just multi-drops and harasses and builds a 3rd command center. If HeroMarine does that right now, I think he will win this game in the long term because mass Queenling Bane is not going to scale as well as you might think it will. That tank wide out in the open. That tank, though, perfectly positioned. I'd like to see HeroMarine with a bit of a pre-spread right now. There's 27 speed Banes, and intercepting the rally is Reynor. Reynor intercepting the rally. HeroMarine's trying to put the pressure on him. I would love to see him put pressure on this Baneling nest. I want to see these Marines rally. Yeah, moving up the ramp like that is huge. Medevacs are taking quite a bit of damage. It looks like the Lingbane flank is getting ready, though. Oh, this is going to be big. Reynor, he's going to have to snap it shut. He's going to have to snap it shut. Here we go. Mass Lingbane coming in from both sides. The Queen's doing a spectacular job of tanking. The siege tanks will go down. The Marines on the high ground are in trouble. And Reynor manages to hold on, shoots down a bunch of the medevacs, and HeroMarine will throw in the towel. Whew, as I said, this situation was actually not getting any better for HeroMarine, guys. We saw in Game 5 that Reynor finally made the adjustment. And the thing is, I think what's so stressful in this series for HeroMarine is you've seen a Reynor that refuses to play safe. No matter how many all-ins you do, until this final game, Reynor was still building 80 drones without scouting a 3rd command center. He was still playing so greedy. So as HeroMarine, you're like, as far as HeroMarine knows, remember, he's only been working this southern angle. As far as he knows, that's a fully saturated base. That's a fully saturated base. Now, obviously, we go back to what we can see. Yeah, it's full on minerals, but he's only on a couple gases. 1 gas, 2 gas, 3 gases. His main is oversaturated right now, and he's got nothing on his 4th. This Zerg economy is absolute shit tier. It's absolute shit tier. And this is what I was talking about with, we've seen games like this where Beyond has developed, he's like the 2-base push master right now, where he's developed a sense for this situation, and he's like, oh, actually, the more units I get, the better this scales for me. And he'll start +1 armor. And he'll have a 3rd command center on the way and float that down, or even build it on location. And he'll start doing more like, oh, there's an 8 Marine drop. So he's still threatening these bushes, but he's not like throwing his units away. And he actually starts getting these really good trades. And you can see in this scenario, this is the first game where Reynor actually was the one who had urgency on, I need to get fights to happen because I can't let this army get too big. You get 5 siege tanks, 4 liberators, mass marine with like, you know, upgrades. It's going to do very well versus my Lingbane. I've only got 1 Evo chamber working. I don't really have a Spire or anything like a Hydra Den to really add any depth to my army. But it was a good adjustment from Reynor. And remember, he did this without scouting as well. So he didn't actually know what the follow-up was. He had no vision of it. But he made the read anyway that you've done a 2-1-1, you're going to follow up with an all-in. And he did that based off of very intelligent just reading of his opponent and how he's played the series. He was already massing Zerglings from a very low worker count. And the only scout that he had to confirm what was happening was this Zergling, spotting that there was no third base. And then he's going to run it up this ramp in a moment as well. So he's going to run... I guess he scouts it really late, doesn't he? He tried to click that Zergling in, but the pathing derped out on it. Already at this point, though, he's gone to 57 workers on just 3 gases, which is very, very just safe. He's got so much minerals to mass Queens, Lings, Banes. It's just a super safe way of playing. And he was like, no, I'm just going to do this until I actually see you have a third base with my Zerglings. We're just going to keep doing it that way. So a good adjustment in Game 5 for Reynor. Finally does play a bit safer, and he manages to win one of the sloppiest series ever. But I think what's interesting about this one is just looking at what happens when HeroMarine channels dirty all-ins. And I think if he improves the execution, he could absolutely have won this series 3-1 or even 3-0 by mixing that up a little bit. So nice all-ins from HeroMarine. And sometimes it's that unpredictable, chaotic nature that makes you a better player because your opponents really don't expect you to play that way. But GG, well played to Reynor. Once again, wins another weekly cup like the beast he is. GG.